So, we're still back on our same data screen. And I'm going to minimize. And so we're going to go back to the data. Okay, the first one is.
Tell us where you are.
I'm going to go from the right. I'm sorry, the left. I'm going from the left, which was interstate. Okay. Now the core, that data set, we're going to come up here. We're going to click on the calculation because it's got a.
Where are you going?
I'm going to. There's a equal sign by ABC.
Okay.
Okay. Click means it's a calculation, but it's a calculation on a string field.
Yes.
So I'm going to edit that calculation, and what it says is if the desk.
How'd you get to that screen?
I'm sorry. I can't.
You have to tell us exactly where you're.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on slow. Okay. I'm going back to the very first column. And I have it highlighted, and there is an equal sign with ABC. Okay. That tells me it's a calculated field of a text file.
Okay.
While this is highlighted, I'm going to hit the right mouse button. It's going to give me an option called Edit.
Okay.
So what I do when I do Edit is it's going to show me what variables went in to creating that field. So basically, if the destination state, again, that's one of our fields.
Mine doesn't say that.
Just scroll back over this way.
Oh, okay, so make it larger?
Yeah, make it larger.
Okay, no.
Well, it's all there. Just drag that one.
Oh, you can make it larger.
Yeah, everything on here is completely draggable, scalable. So basically, what I do is if the destination state is equal to the origin state, then it's an intrastate movement, else it's an interstate movement. And so I just do basically it's a SQL if, then, in, else query. This is the real value of Tableau, is all of these functions and calculations. So as you get more advanced, you will see how all this stuff comes out together. But basically, I wanted to be able to put a filter in there if I wanted to do a comparison of interstate versus intrastate movement, and that helps me to get through with understanding, say, a flow that's going from Louisiana to Louisiana. It helps me with some of the comparisons that I'll make later on.
Is this statement something you designed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you plugged it in?
I plugged it in.
It didn't come this way?
No, that's why it's a calculated field. That's why it showed up. And then the thing is it says the sheets affected. It actually shows what sheets use this code later on in the document. All these works. When I go to the thing, it says the calculation is valid.
She went silent.
Just so it won't be confusing because it's going to...
We're having some house cleaning here.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, if I created this calculation field because I know that I want to be able to differentiate between interstate and interstate origins and destinations. And so basically on the sheet, it again tells me the name of the file in the upper left-hand corner. It tells me what columns were used in this calculation. That's what, again, they're coded orange. They have brackets around it, and we have my if-then statement. The lower left-hand corner says this calculation is valid. Like, say, for instance, I type Santa Claus in here. Well, suddenly it says this data set contains errors because obviously it doesn't know what to process Santa Claus in an if-then statement. So I delete it, and so it's very useful. It does give you these error functions as you're developing things. And on the lower right-hand side, it says Sheets Affected. This will show you, if you click on that little triangle again, it'll show you what sheets by heading use this data set. So if you deleted some of the pages already, then you're going to be limited. If you didn't, you'll see more. And of course, you see an OK or apply. I'm just going to hit OK. So the next one is another calculation. I go back through the sum of tons. Now this is a different calculation because
You're in the second column?
I'm on the second column. It's an edit, and basically all I did was I did a sum of tons in English. Now this one was created within Tableau, and I'll get to how I did the sum of tons of English later on. But basically, there is some embedded calculation fields that take place within the native Tableau environment once we start getting to the dashboards, and that was how that one was created. But the difference is, one was a calculation field, one was not. This next one is called group, and what I basically did, you see it as a paperclip, and I go back to the down arrow. I want to edit the group, and basically you should see two groups. It says total foreign / domestic. The total foreign, if I click on the arrow in front of total foreign, will show me that it's code 1, 2, 3, or 4. And Cheryl, I'll explain 1, 2, or 3, or 4 in just a few seconds. And then it shows me domestic, which is 5. So okay, so now I can differentiate between what's total foreign and what's domestic. And I just simply drag and dropped it and created a group. So if I want to create another group, I can just simply click on group. I have an empty group. And if I wanted to take 1 and 2 and drag them down there, I can drag them down there. So group is very useful when you want to summarize information and that you know you're going to be using a lot. So for instance, if I'm in Louisiana and I'm doing a study on the Gulf, I can do a group of Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, the Gulf states, and just have a Gulf group. So the benefit is it lets you have a Gulf sum as opposed to having to do Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and aggregated them all up. So I'm just going to cancel so I can keep it together. Now destination state name, again, this was calculated earlier in the table. The ITTS, again, we're going to click on the little small triangle, and we're going to see an alias. I'm clicking on alias, and it's going to say 1 or 1. Now what we're going to do is that one that says value alias, we're just going to change that, double click on it, and we're going to type ITTS. And now every time that we need a report that has ITTS in it, it'll show up there. I could have also done the same thing by creating an ITTS group if I had simply done, again, the same thing. I do destination. I'm going to create a group.
Tell us where you are.
Oh, I'm going back to destination state name, and I'm going to create a group. And that group, I'm going to select, I'm going to call this destination states group. We're going to call it ITTS. We're going to type, the field name will be ITTS, destination state group at the very beginning. And we just select Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Virginia, West Virginia, and then I hit OK. And now I have an ITTS group.
I don't need to hit apply, just hit OK.
No, it's fine. But I have a group that shows ITTS states.
Did that create a new column or
It
something?
did create a new column. Why did it not? Why did it not keep it?
Where is the new column?
It's in the lower, it's on the left.
To the left now. No? No. I don't see that I did anything.
Well, that's because I did it wrong. I didn't explain it correctly. When you group the states, you had to go back through it and right-click lower back here, where it says just in that box, just hit Edit. So we're on the ITTS destination. Just hit Edit if in that heading box, Edit Group. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to select the ITTS member states. I forgot to hit group. That's why I didn't group it. So you hit Florida. Just click on Georgia. Kentucky. Louisiana. You're going to do Mississippi and Missouri. And then Virginia and West Virginia.
Oh.
And then you hit group. And now,
okay.
and then you go to the very top where it says Florida. Just rename it and call it ITTS. And just hit OK. And now you have created a group. So anyway, and the other ones that are not ITTS will just show up as their regular states. Because you didn't create a group on those. So now we come back to this next one. It says foreign, and Cheryl, this is where we use aliases. And notice it says we're going back to. I'm in column number. It says foreign. It just says foreign. It's a text field. Go back over this way, Laura. Go to your right some. Okay. Just to make it clear for everybody, type A to Z ascending, not ascending per table, but just A to Z ascending. Perfect. Okay, now go to foreign right here, Laura. This column, it says foreign. You were by it. Okay, good. Okay, so on the foreign, basically the way the core does this, I'm going down on the little, clicking on the little arrow, I'm going to go to a thing called aliases. And alias is going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, 1 is imports from the rest of the world. 2 is exports, rest of the world. 3 is imports from Canada. 4 is exports to Canada, and 5 is domestic. That was why earlier I had to aggregate. They treat Canada as if it is not a part of the world. So you had to add Canada to get the total foreign trade. So again, that's a column.
Is they the core?
The core.
Okay.
The core. Because there's so much Great Lakes trade, coastal trade.
In other words, it's coming from the data set, not Tableau.
That's right. It's coming from the data set. So that's why when I had to do that calculated field earlier so I could add the imports and the exports together and get a total domestic and a total foreign. So that's why I did that group earlier. And so the way you amend that is you just, again, like we did earlier, double click. And if I don't like imports rest of world, I could just spell out rest of world, exports rest of world. And it'll be, and I do OK, and it'll be reflected in all the data sets below. I tend to use ROW, but that's just from me doing this for a long time, and I know what rest of the world means. So then the next one is...
Does that show up somewhere?
It'll show it where?
Where is that?
Under foreign.
Oh, it's under the column.
Yeah, it's under the column.
Okay.
So
So
then
when we're hitting aliases, Bruce, we're just changing, if I understand correctly, we're changing what it stands for, and it'll show up in that column, but it still doesn't change the underlying data. So anytime we'd want to do that in the future, we'd have to do it every time. Is that correct?
The reason you do it, well, that's a good point, is, for instance, when I did the joins, I was technically using them as lookup tables. I was using them as aliases by creating a separate file, a separate column in the folder. But by doing it as an alias here, you have to set it up every time. Now, I could have set up an Excel chart that had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and linked to it. But for variables like that, sometimes it's just easier to put the alias in because it's small number of variables, small number of things to add.
Okay. I was just making sure I was following.
It's there.
Where?
Here, just have a second. Oh, Laura asked a good question, and basically she's wondering where the imports, we just made a change to the foreign, she's wondering where it is. And I forgot to mention this earlier, on the middle part of the screen on the right, there's 3 buttons that says Show Aliases, Show Hidden Fields, and Limit the Number of Rows. So Laura, if you'd made that a bigger number, you would have gotten more rows. But it would have also sped up, it would have captured those rows and brought them in. So if you had changed it to 1,000 to 10,000, the records you were looking for would have showed up.
How do you access the records if...
We're getting, this screen, Laura, is just managing the data. This is just how you manage the data. We're not extracting the data yet to do tables. We're just managing the data.
So we're not seeing all the data because we only have 1,000 rows.
That's right. That's correct. And then we go to enter and intrastate, which I mentioned earlier. I mentioned ITTS as a 1 or 2, and we've made that change. We talked about the ITTS destination. I'm just continuing the columns, assuming that everybody has A to Z ascending. Origin state name, again, that was created by doing the lookup table we did earlier. Some of the times I will discuss how we did that once we get to the actual worksheet. And then tons English, and this is actually not tons English, it's actually metric tons. So I change English. So what I do is I go to the column, I just double click tons, I do a right click, I do rename as opposed to being English, it's actually metric tons. So I just type in M tons.
Is that just a typo you made earlier?
Yeah, that's a typo I made.
Okay.
I was looking through the metadata and I realized I needed to fix that. And then we talked about how we created total foreign earlier and domestic, and then we talked about the year. And now Tableau can keep year data sets like day, month, quarter, if you structure your data sets that way. But because we only have year, there's no need in making it a time field because we don't have enough underpinning time to keep that geography, that time geography there. So basically, I know this was very tedious, but the thing I've discovered is if you don't understand how the data got to be where it is, oh, and I forgot to mention commodity. If you go all the way to, again, the store AZ descending, the commodity code also uses aliases. So if I click on aliases, I'll see where I took the coal, crude, petroleum products, chemical fertilizers. Again, just click on the little triangle, go to aliases, and you'll see where the aliases are there. Now, if I do cancel to that one, now we'll go back to the 3 boxes. Show aliases, show hidden fields, 1,000 rows. It's in the middle of the screen on the right. If I click on show aliases, where if you look at the commodity, I click off show aliases, suddenly it's going to go to the number field. It's not that we've lost that information, it's still there, it just only shows the aliases. Now if I had a field that I didn't want to show, I could click it off and show hidden fields, and the FAF has some of these when we get to the FAF later on. So the idea is if you know there's records you're going to use, and if you know there's records you'll never use, just hide them, and that way it's less clutter on your screen, makes it conceptually easier for you to follow, keep track of what's going on. So basically we're going to go to our first dashboard. So if you go to the lower right-hand corner, there's 3 icons. There's a plus sign by a single sheet. You have in the very lower, there's a, extract your screen. Yeah, there. There you go.
Oh wait, is it
The
this?
lower left?
Yeah, right there.
Lower left.
Well, Laura's actually cleaned out her Excel charts. So you'll see something that says New Dashboard, or you can click on...
So it's not always in the lower right-hand corner. It could be in your lower left-hand corner.
Depending on how many, if you deleted all the tables beforehand.
Okay.
So we're going to click on New Worksheet. And now what we get is we have all of the information, dimensions, or the things that, think of it this way, dimensions are what describes the data. Measures are the numerics about the data. So for instance, I have 5 cats. Well, cats is a dimension. 5 is the measure. So for instance, I have 5,000 tons. Well, okay, 5,000 tons, it doesn't mean anything. It's having the dimensions that tell me it's 200 tons of coal, it's 500 tons of this, and that's how you break it out. So if you think of it in that context, that measures are the things that you want to have metrics about. You want to count, you want to sum, whatever, that's the measures. Dimensions are the things that describe it.
Another way to put it is the dimensions are your categories of data.
Right, that's correct. So we're going to build our first data set. Yay! Happy hands, everybody. We're going to take year. And
Where are you finding year?
Year is in the middle of the page. Again, remember, we had all of what you see on the left is all of the tables that were loaded in the last page are now shown in the left-hand side, sorted by table. So we're going to go to the state-to-state flows-CO, and we're going to go to year. We're going to grab year, and we're going to drag it over, and we're going to drop it into the columns row, all the way to the columns. Okay?
Oh, at the top, at the
That's
page.
That's right. And there's a null I need to clean up. I'll just exclude it here. Actually, I'll just put it here. Well, that's okay.
When you start doing things like you're just doing, you lose people.
Yeah, I know. Laura's yelling at me. Okay.
We appreciate it, Laura, because we're all thinking it.
Yeah, so I got year, and so there's a null which I need to clean up. Okay, so basically on the top line you should have 2001 to 2015. There's nothing there. It just says ABC because you just took a category. You have nothing to it. So you take the tons.
Where do you find tons?
Tons is in a measure, lower part. Tons
so we're on the left-hand
Yeah, we're on the
column.
left-hand side
Okay.
in the measures, and just drag tons and just drop it right in the middle. Actually, the easiest way to explain it is to drop tons where the ABCs are. Okay, now you get this really goofy little barcode thing. Okay, say, well, I don't like that. So you say, well, I'm going to take tons and I'm going to drag it down to rows.
So tons, when you dropped it on the ABCs, it ended up in the column.
It ended up in the columns.
So now grab the green sum of tons.
And drag it to rows. And now you get.
Now I get a bar chart.
Now you get a bar chart. Now.
Could I have done that originally? Why did we go through that little?
Because I'm going to show you how Tableau. I'm going to purposely do bad things to show you.
I was like wondering, do I have to do that to end up where we ended up?
No.
Okay.
The thing is, with Tableau,
I can put it anywhere I want.
You can put it anywhere you want.
But the resulting graph may not make sense.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So you were just proving a point.
I'm proving a point.
Okay, now I understand.
Because what
Trying to tell me what I might see, Laura, and to not freak out when I do.
Well, and that's a good way of putting it, Cheryl, because I'm going to show you something that's really going to freak you out. Okay, we have year as a column, and we have rows. Okay. Now, if you go to your upper right-hand corner, there's a thing I'm sure the people from Missouri will notice called Show Me. Click on Show Me, and it gives you all of these packaged data sets that you can look at. So if you click on the first one, it's going to look like a table. You click on the second one, it's kind of a heat map. You click on the third one, it's more of a, I think they call these trees.
It's not a packaged data set, it's a packaged
Template.
display.
That's correct. I'm sorry.
It's not a packaged data set, it's a packaged display of the data set.
That's right. Travis, Laura's critiquing my analytical philosophy skills if you're still on the phone.
No, I'm critiquing your choice of words.
That's analytical philosophy. So.
How a mistake with continental philosophers.
I know. We can have that discussion later.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway.
So you're on the table.
I'm on the table one, and then I click it again on the middle one, which is going to, in the middle part of the top column, it's going to give you these rows that are going to, with weighted boxes. And the interesting thing is I go back to my table on the left, and the boxes all look about the same size. So I can just simply drag that box and make it bigger, and that gives me a little bit more flexibility in terms of the variability of the boxes.
So you made the column bigger.
I made the column, and you can make it bigger.
Wider.
Made it wider, and I can also make it taller by pulling from the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, and so then
Can
I
you
go...
change the distinction it's making if that's weighted? Can you change the variable to make the boxes more distinguishable?
We're going to get to that. We're only working on one variable right now.
Okay, that's fine.
But we're going to get to a second multivariate table, and then it'll start making a lot more sense.
Okay.
So the show me here, basically it's this box, and the boxes that are darker are the ones which have more tonnage. So basically, I went to the green box by doing the on the first line.
First line of what?
The first line of the show me.
Okay.
The one that's in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
And there's this.
Okay.
So now I'm going to click on show me because it's going to hide the screen, and you're going to see a filter. It's going to say sum, and you're going to see this filter, and you say, well, I don't like green. I want to change it to another color, so I'm going to edit colors. And anybody got a color that they want better than green?
How do I edit colors first?
Okay, and everything is off that little bitty triangle.
Tell her where you are. You're on the right-hand side of the page.
I'm on the right-hand side of the page. I'm on the right-hand side of the page. Close the show me, and you're going to see a box that says sum of M tons. And there's going to be that little triangle.
Found it.
And that little triangle, click on it, it's going to give you some options. Edit colors, format, show the title, edit title. So we're going to edit the color here, and so we're going to make it.
Palette.
We're going to hit the palette. Right now it's automatic, and if I say I don't want to use that, I can change it to another color. I'm going to change it to orange gold. And then the things that are orange will be lighter, the darker color. I can always change, if I click on step color, it's going to give me some gradients. I can change that. I can reverse it if I want the darker ones to be the less tonnage or the lighter tonnage. So, again, everything on...
You're hitting cancel.
I'm hitting cancel. Everything on Tableau View, if you see an element that has a little bitty triangle on it, it always allows for custom modification. Just, if you see the little triangle, it's going to give you the potential for custom modification. It's customizing that particular display or that particular element. So I click back onto the show me. Now you notice I have a map of the world that's grayed out. I have another map of the world that's grayed out, and I'll explain to you because I have no geographic elements on this particular table. So how can it just show a geography if it has no geography to show? So the next one I'm going to do is a pie chart. So I click on the pie chart, and now I have a pie chart. I can make it bigger or smaller depending on just simply dragging it around. And I do the show me, and again I get the same thing. I get the filters. So if I want to click on where it's 2015, I can click on it. I click on 2010, and it'll just highlight that particular box in the chart. Does everybody see that?
I'm going to get out of that. In other words, if I want to show all of them again.
Then just let me see where you're at. Here, Laura. Just basically just click. If you want to get out of it, just go to the actual sheet and click over here.
Oh, okay.
And so that way you're showing the whole thing. Now, because this is time, this is not a very relevant chart. So we go back to show me, and then we're going to go back to, again, the traditional bar chart, which we mentioned earlier. Now, I don't like this layout, so what I can do is if you look above the columns and the rows, there is a series of boxes, 3 boxes going across the right
in the ribbon.
In the ribbon. It says swap rows and columns. So if I click that, it's going to swap the rows and the columns, and it's going to give me something that I think looks a little bit better. So then I come back to the next one, which is basically a stack bar.
Where are you now?
I'm sorry, I'm back in the Show Me.
Back in the Show Me.
I go to the stack bar, and again I see this ribbon that doesn't make any sense, so I can go back to the swap rows and columns. Again, doesn't make any sense because I don't have enough variables to do the stack. Okay, and then this next one down, I don't have enough variables. I'm back in the Show Me. The third one, I don't have enough variables to do the layering, but I come back to this. On the fourth on the left, there's a box with a whole bunch of little boxes, and you click on that. Basically, what this one shows you, what the largest tonnage was in 2006, and the least amount of tonnage was in 2009. So this is just another visual display. And if you notice, as it was building all those variables, it kept changing what was in the marks column. So let's talk about this page. If we go to the very in the middle of the document, there's something called pages, and basically pages are.
There's something called pages.
Okay, no, Laura. If you look away from where it says sheet 19, and there's something called marks, and you see a mark. It has a sum of tons, and it has the year. It's in the gray box next to the. Yes.
Oh, it's in the second column, in the middle of the second column.
Right. Yes. So pages is a kind of a master filter. So if you want to develop and we'll do this in just a second. So pages lets you say, I want to set up a view that I want to look across many variables, but I don't have to duplicate. I can just do page, and as I scroll through it, it'll show me each page. Filter lets me modify particular things. We're going to get to filters in just a second. But marks is where you start seeing what tables were added, what elements were added, things of that nature. So we're going to go back to the actual text file, the actual data. We're going all the way up to the Show Me, to the data box, the gray. So you should have something that just simply looks like a data table. Okay, what we're going to do is we don't like the null value, so we're going to click on the null value, just that particular box, and we're going to do exclude. And it's gone. So if you have an area that you don't like, something, you can do that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we have this time series. What are we interested in seeing in this time series? Commodities, flows, trade, what do y'all want to see?
Commodity.
Okay, commodity. Okay, so we drag the commodity.
So you're in the left-hand column.
In the left-hand column, I take commodity, and I'm going to drag it to the row. And so I can look at each commodity, chemical fertilizers. I can look down at the time series. I can do the same thing with chemicals, excluding fertilizers. And if I don't like that look, I can always take year and drag year up to columns. And this gives me more of a traditional cross-tab table. Yeah. But I have more years than my screen will show. So I go up to the year. Any of these years, I'm going to right-click. Actually, I'm going to go to year up here. I'm going to the little pull-down box in the year column. I'm going to edit a filter. And when I edit that filter, I'm only going to use 2005, 2010, and 2015. And if it says exclude, click off the exclude. If there's a line through it, it's excluding it.
Yeah.
So
how do I
just unclick the exclude.
Tell us where it is.
Oh, the exclude is in the lower. It's on the lower right-hand side of the box.
Okay.
And then you hit OK. Apply. I always do apply first just to make sure it works. And then I did OK. Now you notice that the null came back because we didn't select the null, so we can always just go back and exclude it. So anyway, so now we have a table of 3 years with columns. Now, what we're going to do is just go back through the Show Me again. Just go through the cycle of Show Me and just click and look at the different variations of the tables. I don't have to tell you what it looks like for each one. So as you're clicking through it, you see that there's a lot of variability into how you can choose to display your data. So now we're going back to the same table, and what I like to do, and you'll see me do this a lot because I'm lazy, I take the sum of tons, and if you notice in the marks box, which is the second column, it has marks, and there's a little T box by sum of tons. What that T box means is it's a text, and they're treating it as a text here. If I take the sum of tons and I drag it to color, now...
Wait, sum of tons here or sum of tons here?
I drag sum of tons from the measure, and I drop it on the color that's in the marks. So I go from here, Laura, tons, drop it right on the color. And now you notice that I've now added, I have green as well to my table, which gives me another layer of information. So if I want to focus on those items that are the bigger commodities, this is a quick way of showing what's the top commodities early on. So you're using color to put more information into your presentation. And I use this a lot because it's, for me, intuitively makes a lot of sense. So, again, you can click through the Show Me if you just want to look at the variation, because you will notice that there's different elements of the Show Me. They'll show up different ways, and there's no wrong way to present data. So,
yes, there is.
Well, yeah.
There are ways that are less good, I'll put it that way.
There's ways that are less good.
There are ways that are less meaningful.
Okay, that's even better. Okay,
yeah,
so now
we're
still looking at the sheet 19. So what we're going to do...
Mine says sheet 2.
Well, it's, okay, whatever the name of the sheet is, because some of y'all deleted it, some of you didn't. So click on that. If you click on the box where your sheet heading is, yeah, if you click on where the sheet heading is, you can change the name of the sheet. It's going to pop up with a little thing that says Edit Title, and we're going to call this Commodity Flow Information. And the sheet name, we're just going to keep sheet 19, just so we know where it is in the table. So when we're looking through our table, we'll know that sheet 19 is what we're looking at. Or you can call it sheet 2. Yours is sheet 2.
This is sheet 18.
Or yours is sheet 18, whatever. So basically, you have now created a table. And you want to, the easiest thing to do with this table is you're going to use it for something.
How do I get back to that view you're in? You've got
just do the back. Back, right here, back. Laura's asked a question how to get back to the same view. I'm just telling her to go and hit the back button. And there it is.
Oh, so I have to redo this?
You have to just rename the heading.
You have to rename the heading.
Right. But you will use the undo a lot. So just FYI. So now I have a table.
But it didn't undo what we added in this column.
That's correct. It undid everything you did to the point where you were happy with what you had. Now, had you done undo more, it would have taken these things off as well. It's a complete undo of all the work that you've done.
It's not just a backspace.
It's a, yeah.
It's an undo.
In addition to.
Right. It's an additive back undo. And there's no limit. Now, we like this chart, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to Worksheet, which is in the ribbon. It's the third column choice. We're going to go down. It says New Worksheet. We can copy this as an image, we can copy this as data, or we can copy this as a crosstab. So Laura, go back up to Worksheet. I'll go back to your sheet 2. Make sure you're on the sheet you're just on. So you go to Worksheet, and you have choices here. You can copy it to a program. You can export it, again, as an image, data, or as a crosstab to Excel. So if you're building a report, you can just cut and paste it into Excel if you want to do additional formatting or you want to do something else with it. You're going to put in a PowerPoint presentation, you can just simply copy the image and put that image in whatever you're doing. So a lot of times when people say, oh, here's how to use a program, it's good, but you have to be able to show it to somebody. So this is a very easy way. If you have one particular image, you want to show it, you can copy it. If you want to redo the headings, you want to put some other things to it, you can export it to Excel, or you can export the data. So just, again, you built this.
So if we copied it, would it create another Tableau file?
No,
if we exported it?
You just do export to Excel, and it's going to load Excel.
Well, then what's a copy?
It's just going to copy the image.
It'll be like a copy and paste. I could then paste it into a Word document.
Copy and paste.
Okay. So it holds it on a clipboard until I put it somewhere else.
That's correct.
When you select copy.
That's right. And export actually will put it in the next
screenshot.
Right.
Okay.
So just do that right now. Do export to an Excel pivot table. Cross tab to Excel. And it should open up in Excel.
Okay.
So for a lot of people, they're comfortable manipulating data in Excel. Just takes the information, puts it in Excel so you can use it and access it. And again, just some other functionalities that are there. So now we're looking at this table. We say, well, this is really good. I'm glad the world is doing all this, but I'm interested in my state. And since we are in the state of Louisiana, we will do Missouri, Cheryl, since we had to show me. So I take the origin state name.
Which column are you in?
I'm in the furthest left-hand column, the first column. I take the origin state name, and I can do a lot of things with it. I can simply drag it in as a filter, and then I'm going to filter and just type in Missouri. I hit apply. And now this is all the flows that have an origin in Missouri, God bless. Or I could have taken that same, they call these pills, by the way, all of these things that look like they're actually, they call them pills.
Oh, because it looks like a capsule.
It looks like a capsule.
Elongated.
So I could take the same origin state name and just drag it up to pages. And if you notice, it changed on the close your show me lore, and you see when I dragged it up to pages, now I have the origin state name as a clickable element. I could go down and pick Alabama, or I could pick Guam, or I could pick Nebraska, or I could pick Missouri here. So the reason you would build a table in pages is so if you want to make comparisons, you can build it here, just export each one of them, and make it easy for yourself. So basically I have it in Missouri. I have these tables. But because the Missouri's relative tonnage compared to other states is very low, I go back to my sum of tons. I click the edit colors. And then I'm going to change. I go to Advanced, which is in the lower right-hand side. I'm going to change the breakpoint. I'm going to change the center to simply be everything over, looking at the chart, we'd say 1,000,000 tons. So we do 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We hit apply, hit OK, and it'll, why did it not change it? Step color. There. Okay. Should have worked. Change it there. Okay. Well, I don't know why it's not giving me the range.
Bruce, if I go up and change the end instead of the center,
maybe that's what it is.
It gives me a nice spread of color.
Okay. So that's one of the things, because it's trying to do the end of everybody.
Yeah.
So if I do it and take off the center,
yeah,
do apply, Okay, thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah.
So, again, now if I go back to show me, now if you notice, I have maps that are highlighted that were not highlighted in the past. Everybody clicks on show me. If you go down, there is a world with a pie chart, and there is a world with thematic maps. You can click on either one of those. Now, Laura, you're not connected to the internet, so your background images aren't going to show up.
For some reason, I am not connected to the second chart, the second map, only the first one.
You should be able to get both.
Uh-uh.
I can't. I'm not offered the second one. I'm only offered the first one.
Go back. Oh, which table did you drag over? Origin state name.
I was having a hard time in pages.
Oh, are you still in pages? Here, no, you're not in pages anymore, Laura. Click on this right here. Origin state name. Just click on that right there.
Do I need to clear pages?
No, do filter, Laura. Hit cancel. Okay. Let me just do back. I'll do it again slowly, Laura, so that I'm going back.
So I should go back?
I'm just go back to where basically you have year and commodity, the one that we exported to Excel.
It's almost time for break.
Almost time for break.
12:15.
Golly, man, having fun. Okay. What we'll do is we'll just show you real quick how to do this, because I'd hate to stop at a point like this. I'll grab the origin state name, which has a globe in front of it. Does yours have a globe in front of it?
Yes.
Okay, I drag it over and just put it as a filter. I'm just going to accept Missouri. I hit OK. And then
Got too many to unclick.
no, okay, if you got too many to unclick, just do none. And then just select Missouri. Okay. Okay, right now it has no way of knowing what variables to add. So we want to look at the destination. So then we take the destination state and we drag it to the chart. So
We don't put it in a column or a row?
We can put it in a column or a row. It doesn't make any difference. But I realized that was the problem. I forgot to exclude that step. You actually have to have a geographic field in the actual box, or it doesn't know what to do with it. So I take the destination, I drag it in, and now my tables will show up. So you should see destination state, and then so your boxes should be, the two boxes should be clicked. So if you click on the one, you'll see a whole bunch of maps. I'll just simply show.
That still doesn't offer me the second map one.
I don't know why you're not getting the second map one. Okay,
Laura, I lost the first one there, but.
Okay, well, let me take a break and figure out why Laura's not doing the second map.
Yeah, Laura and Cheryl both, so there we'll go with that.
Okay, oh good. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, and I'm about to go from there. Okay, thanks.